Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about how to make stress balls with large number of students. You are watching the Art Teacher Maven YouTube channel, and we talk about art education things on this channel. And we are celebrating Autism Acceptance, Autism Awareness Month, and something we were going to do is an all-school guided activity. So I'm going to run you through what it looks like in our school. So instead of going to their regular related arts specials block, so think of classes like art, science, PE. So instead of going to their regular special, they came to the gym. We had classes file in. So we had 3 to 4 classes of 24-ish kids at a time. So they filed in, they made rows. We had calming music playing for this school-wide assembly. We set the tone by reminding our students of the expectations of a school-wide event, being safe, being kind, being responsible, and a cherry on top, respectful. So we just set the tone, and what you would do that same thing for your school, whatever your expectations of a school-wide assembly would be. I outlined the schedule that we had 40 minutes together, and that if we worked together, we could get to all the centers and all the stations. We had a video of a teacher reading a book about celebrating differences and how we all learn differently. We introduced the activities. We had different centers and stations around the room that they could get to. So we'll draw you a little map of what that looked like really quick. So students came in to the gym. We had them sit in rows, and these students are all kindergarten and first grade. So we had 60 to 80 kids at a time, and then we had tables set up around the room. They got all their directions from here, so we had like a drop down projector, and then we had 2 more tables over here, so you can get a feel for how we did it to spread all the kids out around the edge of the room. So here we had stress ball centers, so where they can make the stress balls. We had another activity of tables over here to make friendship bracelets to celebrate autism awareness, autism acceptance. And then we had like a calming station back here for coloring, so we could have the kids all engaged and happy and safe as they were waiting their turn to get to the stress balls. So I watched a lot of videos before on how to make stress balls, but nothing is like playtesting it on 300 students at a time and what it looks like in real time. So we had 600 balloons because we needed 2 balloons per child. And we tried a lot of different ways throughout the day, and this is what worked best for just a large number of kids. Is we pre-cut all of these edges off the balloons, and this is the larger size balloon, works better. I'm not sure if the bag will tell us. These are 12-inch balloons. I do recommend latex free. These are not, but that is what I would recommend if we were to do it all over again. I would do latex free balloons. We had different options of what students could put inside their de-stress ball. We taught students, we modeled how and when to use the stress ball. So I role modeled that and I demonstrated it. And so we had things like beans, things that made sound. We had Orbeez. We have very little Orbeez left, but I will still demonstrate. And something we didn't put out but that you could put out is beads. So these were all options at the table spread out. So we had these pre-cut bottles, and because our students are very young, all preschool, kindergarten, and first grade, they needed a lot of assistance to do this. So if you have younger students, they're going to need help. Older kids could probably help each other put these on. So at the tables, I had it like this, and then I would open up the balloon and put it onto so that's also why we set them up beforehand. So we put these on the bottles as the funnel like this, so they were ready for a student to come up and grab one and get started. And then we had scoops to fill. But ours came out on the smaller side, very different looking than what we saw in videos other places. So ours didn't come out exactly what we originally had hoped they would look like. You can use something like a permanent marker to force extra material in. But we realized that the kids were still really happy even though they came out on the smaller side. And so students did that independently. Then I pulled this off and then I tied it shut because our kids are really young and can't do this part. Older kids maybe would be able to do that. And then we double wrapped it. So I would pull it open like this and the student I was working with would put it inside. So we were working together. It wasn't an activity that the little kids could do by themselves. We had made another activity where students are making calming bottles this month, and that was much more child-centered and they were much more independent. And then if this is all they made, the kids were extremely happy with this. It was very flexible. They liked the sound and the texture of it. We realized that Sharpies do not write well on balloons. So ballpoint pen was a better option so that they could draw designs and things. We had pre-cut yarn available so that they could give it the effect of hair. A lot of students don't know how to tie knots yet at this age. I'd say the majority of them. Some do if they've been practicing tying their shoes. So this was an option if they wanted hair. A lot of kids did not draw on their de-stressing squish balls. But they did have the option to draw on them and they could add more than that. And then what we did, because there were 300 kids came through the space at a time, we had Ziploc bags. So we asked the students to put their name on their bag. So they wrote their name and then they would put their sensory toy in here, and then when they go to the friendship bracelet station, they could put their friendship bracelet in here so that it was all ready to go when the 40 minutes was up and we had gotten through all, I think every single group got to every single child, and we had one teacher at every table, and sometimes we had parent adults also volunteering at each table, and we got through all of our students. So that was pretty good for timing. It was fast, it was a whirlwind, and they didn't come out exactly like we had originally thought. I will show you what the other options look like in case you want other options at your stations. The tables had the supplies spread out down the table, so that might be helpful to you to do the same. So we had them in big buckets where kids could go around the table from both sides to work. It just made it a little bit easier. So you might find that if you're doing a school-wide event, that might be helpful also. We had families donate supplies. Students also just loved to touch the sensory items while they were waiting their turn. So the beans were a little harder. Very few children, I feel like, chose the beans as an option, but we still had them there available. And I feel like they're an inexpensive way to make a stress ball. So, and then we could try the Sharpie to get the last few in here. The smaller balloons were a lot harder. And then some kids would overfill, so you have to shake out the extra, remove the balloon. By the end of the event, after doing this over and over again, my fingers did start to hurt. So this is not something I would do often. I think we plan to do the same event with the same format for next year. So I would hold the orange balloon open, and the student was helping me to put the blue one inside. So it's much easier when you have a friend helping you. So we did promote doing this with other students. So all the classes were mixed together, so they're meeting kids from other classes, which is nice. You can see the beans are just a little bit harder than our original one was. I'm gonna try a different color balloon. Some color balloons are stretchier than others. And we did modify this throughout the whole day. We tried it all different ways with large numbers of kids. So I feel like that is what helped us to get a good system, because we had so much experience after the whole day was finished that I wanted to share it, because I was a little disappointed that it didn't look like what we had seen in other people's videos. But we were actually playtesting it with students. So let's try some beads so you can see what that will look like. I feel like the beads are very similar to the beans. They need a little bit of persuasion. I feel like they're a little bit harder. So kids would bring them to me like this. I would pinch here and empty out the extra. We also did send home information to educate parents about the activities today, that we read a storybook, that we created stress balls, and friendship bracelets. Students did do some coloring activities for students that are going to be part of the Special Olympics in the near future. Here's this one. This one also had some nice sensory with the sound it would make. And the last one was the Orbeez, which we unfortunately don't have a lot of to show you like the full effect. I think I liked the Orbeez the best, but they were also not very loud like the other options had like a sound. The Orbeez are more quiet, and the kids did like touching them to put them inside their balloon. And some sensory balls did come out very small. And you know, I'd had these big expectations for these bigger sized stress balls, but you know what? The kids had no idea. They were happy as clams. So it is okay to adjust. You know, as a teacher, we're always learning and trying new things, you know, that we had to adjust our expectations, but the kids were happy. That's all that mattered. They were having a great time. They were experiencing something new and different. They got to make a craft. It was very hands-on, had a lot of fine motor. It was a lot easier to scoop these when there was many Orbeez, and I'm trying not to get the water at the bottom. So we had scoops in all of the containers throughout the room. So it did take a lot of organizing, coordinating, drawing the map of the room and what we needed. And so this one's going to be a smaller one, but you get the idea. It's quieter. Very satisfying though to touch. So that's my advice if you're going to do this with a large number of kids, like at a camp, at a school, at a field day, that they come out small. Change your expectations of what they might look like. A lot of kids took them home like this and didn't draw on them or add hair at all, and that's okay. And some were very detailed and complicated. So that's all my best advice. I hope that it helps you in some way. Have a great day.